Welcome! If you're a focused learner looking to go from an absolute beginner with zero programming experience to someone who can actually build, ship, and earn from real web applications, you are in exactly the right place. Now, this explainer isn't just some quick overview. It's a premium masterclass. We're going to break down the entire landscape of full-stack development, starting entirely from first principles. By the end of our time together, you won't just understand the code, you'll understand exactly how developers turn these foundational skills into real income without waiting around for a 4-year degree. So let's dive right in. Okay, let's dive into this roadmap. We're going to start by mapping the full stack. Then we'll move on to building the user front end, powering servers and APIs, managing data and authentication, building your capstone project, and finally, deploying those projects and actually earning from them. First up, mapping the full stack. This is all about what happens before you even write a single line of code. To make this incredibly clear right out of the gate, let's use a storefront analogy. Imagine you're buying a bag of beans from your favorite local coffee shop's website. The front end is the visible storefront that you, the customer, actually see and interact with. It's those add to cart buttons, the elegant layout, the beautiful product images, and the checkout forms. The back end, on the other hand, is the invisible back office and the warehouse. It's the server logic that checks if those beans are actually in stock, the secure data storage that holds onto your receipt, and the authentication that remembers your login so you don't have to retype your password every single time. So being a full-stack developer simply means you have the power and the skills to build both that beautiful storefront and the robust back office running it. And this brilliantly illustrates the fundamental flow of the entire internet. This loop right here on screen is the absolute heart of all web development, whether you're talking about a massive site like Amazon or a tiny personal blog. Just imagine you're booking a flight, right? When you click search, your browser asks the server for content. The server processes that request by talking to a database to retrieve the available flight times and prices. And finally, the server responds, and the front end displays that organized list of flights back to you. Every single time you click a button, refresh a feed, or submit a form anywhere on the web, you are kicking off this exact cycle. Mastering this loop is literally how you master web development.
Moving on to Section 2, building the user front end. This is constructing that visible layer. The front-end tech stack is built on 3 core languages that work together to create a totally seamless user experience. You can think of them as 3 different layers of construction. HTML provides the structure, CSS adds the style, and JavaScript brings the interactivity. And honestly, the most beautiful thing about this trio, every single website in the world uses these 3 tools. From Google to Netflix, they're all built on this exact foundation, making them incredibly timeless skills for you to learn and master. Let's break these down from first principles.
First, we have HTML. Think of HTML as the architectural blueprint, or really the raw skeleton of our digital storefront. It uses simple commands called tags to tell the browser exactly what kind of content it's looking at. For example, if you want a button on your screen, you literally just wrap your text in a tag that says button. It really is that straightforward. You're essentially just labeling the parts of a document. Like, are we looking at a main heading, a readable paragraph, a clickable link, or maybe an input form? At this foundational stage, structure matters far, far more than decoration. You're just organizing the hierarchy of your information so the browser understands what is what. Once you have your HTML skeleton in place, you need CSS. CSS is the interior design, the paint, and the clothing of your site. Without CSS, a website built today would look exactly like a raw, unstyled text document from 1995. CSS is what transforms that plain black and white skeleton into a trustworthy, professional-looking layout. This is where you define visual rules, like how colors create a mood for your brand, how padding and spacing create clarity, and how modern layout tools like Flexbox ensure your design adapts perfectly. Flexbox, for instance, is what magically allows a row of 3 product cards on a wide desktop monitor to seamlessly stack on top of each other when someone views your site on a narrow mobile phone screen. Finally, we have JavaScript. If HTML is the skeleton and CSS is the clothing, JavaScript is the highly interactive greeter of our store. It provides the logic that gives the web page behavior. Because without JavaScript, a beautifully styled button is literally just a painted square on a screen. Nothing happens when you click it. But with JavaScript, you write a small script that says, hey, when the user clicks this specific button, show a success message and empty their shopping cart. By using variables to store information, conditions to make decisions, and loops to repeat actions, JavaScript lets your site instantly respond to the user. You are literally writing the rules of interaction here, and this is where you truly start feeling the immense power of being a builder.
But here's a critical question we really must ask. You've built this beautiful interactive storefront, but how does a website actually remember who you are when you come back tomorrow? Or how does it process an actual financial order rather than just, looking good on a screen? That brings us to section 3, powering servers and APIs. Welcome to the back office. To answer that question, we have to step into the back office, which is typically powered by modern technologies like Node.js and Express. So the crucial point is understanding this server mindset. I want you to think of a server exactly like a busy restaurant kitchen, and routes are the specific items on the menu. A server's main job is simply to listen for requests from users. When a user asks for the /menu route, they're essentially placing an order. The server takes that order, applies your business rules, fetches the necessary ingredients or data from the kitchen, and then sends a response containing that data right back to the browser. Without this back-office logic, dynamic features like processing real orders or saving user content simply cannot exist. Section 4, managing data and authentication. This is all about memory and security. Let's move to and see how this builds into what developers call CRUD operations. CRUD stands for create, read, update, and delete. This is how databases function at their very core. Take an app like Instagram, for example. You create a new photo post. You read your friend's scrolling feed. You update your personal bio, and you delete a comment that you regret. Pretty much every single dynamic app you use is just doing these 4 things to a database. Whether it's an email address, a password, or a shopping cart order, your backend needs these CRUD operations to function. This continuous data flow is quite literally the memory of your application. But as we all know, memory requires rock-solid security. Authentication is the absolute non-negotiable process of proving exactly who a user is. When a user signs up, you're collecting their credentials, storing that data, and setting up protected routes that only they are allowed to see. Why this matters is because as a developer, you hold the keys to user privacy. And this is exactly why we never build custom login systems entirely from scratch. Instead, we use proven, secure libraries to mathematically encrypt passwords so that even you, the developer, cannot read them. Building trust with your users means never exposing secrets and treating their data with the utmost seriousness. Section 5, building your capstone project. It's time to connect the stack. To truly prove your skills, you need to build something real. Imagine building a mini service marketplace where local tutors can list their services. You'll build the HTML and CSS cards to elegantly display those services. You'll use JavaScript to let users filter the subjects without reloading the page. And you'll build a secure backend where a tutor can log in and update their pricing. This capstone should feature a clean homepage pitch, a secure sign-up flow, a request form, and a private user dashboard that pulls saved data directly from your database. Remember, the application does not need to be massively complex. A finished, presentable, small app beats an unfinished big idea every single time. Which leads us to Section 6, deploying projects and earning, taking it public. A project is not truly finished until people can actually interact with it via a real public link. Up until this point, your code only lives on your personal laptop. Literally nobody else can see it. Deployment is the process of renting space on a specialized computer that is running 24/7, what we usually call the cloud, so anyone in the world can type in a URL and hit your server. This involves preparing your project, connecting it to a hosting service, securely checking your environment settings, and rigorously testing the live version. Moving from local development to a live public server is a massive, incredibly exciting milestone for any beginner. And having that live link is exactly how you start earning. Money comes from creating value for others. You can build modern websites for local businesses, create high-converting landing pages for digital creators, offer small custom tools, or use your live portfolio as incredible leverage when applying for jobs. Here's some really actionable advice for you. Find a local business with an incredibly slow, broken website. Build a better, faster version of their homepage over a single weekend, and then just email them the working link. That is how you turn a technical skill into a tangible paycheck. Your skills create the opportunities, but your consistent outreach will create the results. I want to leave you with a powerful philosophy directly from our source material. Listen closely to this. The degree is not the skill is the skill. Just let that sink in for a second. In full-stack development, a strong portfolio and real project evidence will always open doors faster than a piece of paper ever could. You really don't need anyone's permission to start building right now. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it perfectly encapsulates the winning mindset of a developer. So many beginners quit simply because they try to learn every single framework and language all at once. The right game to play is to build steadily and ship continuously. Your very first version will be weak, and honestly, that is completely normal. But if you can build it, you can show it. If you can show it, you can sell it. And if you keep improving it, you're going to grow right alongside it.
You now have the complete blueprint to build a full-stack digital storefront completely from scratch. The structure, the style, the logic, the server, the database, and the deployment are all well within your grasp now. The only question left is, what will you build, ship, and sell first? Get out there and start coding.